Hey everybody, this is Scott Rose, the Inspirational Nerd, and your favorite keto health coach. My mission is to bring health to the world, and so from now on, I'm going to be your guide in leading you to perfect health. So I think that one of the most important questions that we need to ask is, what is fat? Because a lot of people, want to burn their excess fat off their body. Now, what a lot of people actually don't know is that excess fat on the body is sort of the canary in the coal mine. It's actually the indication that you have a whole bunch of health problems coming down the line for you, whether that's heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, even lesser diseases such as arthritis, gout, eczema, acne, gut issues, fibromyalgia, the lesser ones, cancer as well, which is not a lesser one. It turns out that when you have excess body fat, it actually is the indication that both the big diseases like cancer, heart attack, strokes, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and the smaller diseases are coming down the line for you. And why is that? That's actually because the things that actually cause body fat on the human body are the exact same things that cause all these other diseases. And they're actually all related to something called insulin resistance. We're actually not going to get too much into that today. But I want to go back to the original question that I asked, which is, what is body fat? It's really, really important to know what it is if you want to get rid of it. And it's really, really important to know what it is if you want to avoid all these diseases coming down the line for you, if you actually want to live a healthy, disease-free life. And even reverse diseases, such as type 2 diabetes, completely reversible in 100% of cases. So, what is fat? Now, many people instinctively respond that fat is all the excess fat that we eat, right? It actually makes sense, right? Because it's the same word. Fat and fat. You think that if you eat something that has a lot of fat on it, that it turns to fat on your body. But it turns out that this is actually not true at all. This is actually 100% false. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that want you to think it's true. Those are the people that are all advertising on their products. Low fat, non-fat, low fat, non-fat. Those are the products that are actually hurting people. You actually want full fat products. You want to eat as much fat as possible, with the exception of trans fat. That's the only asterisk there. So we still haven't answered the question yet. What is fat? Well, fat on the body is not excess fat that we ate. Fat on the body is actually sugar, carbs, and grains that we ate. So I want to repeat that. When you eat grains, sugars, and carbs, those things turn to fat on the human body. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually true. You eat fat, it does not turn to fat on the body. But if you eat carbs, sugars, grains, even fruits, those things turn to fat on the human body. And they lead to many, many, many other diseases as well. So this brings us to the next question. Why does this happen? What is going on here? Why is that body fat there? Well, it turns out that body fat served a very valuable evolutionary purpose when humans did not have access to food 24/7, 365. Body fat was there for us when we often went days or weeks or months without food. During the caveman days, we had to be able to survive without food for long periods of time, right? We're living in such an odd time right now. It's the very first time in human history, over the last, 100, 200 years, maybe less? I don't actually know, but this is the first time in human history when we have actually had access to food around the clock every single minute of the day. But for 99.999% of human existence, we did not have access to food around the clock. So, body fat served a very important ability. Wait, did I say that right? A very important something. I'm not coming up with the right word right now, but don't worry about that. Let me worry about coming up with the right words. You worry about what I'm going to say next, which is this. Body fat is stored meals for future usage. I want to repeat that one more time. Body fat is stored meals for future usage. So all of the fat that you have on your body, those are meals that your body can use for energy in the future when you run out of food. Think about how important that was to ensure the survival of our species, right? If you went a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month without access to food, right? You're a caveman, it's in the winter, there's no animals running around for you to hunt, there's no access to any fruits that you can pull off trees. You're in a cave for several weeks. How is your body going to live? Your body needs energy every single day. It eats the fat off your body, and it uses that for its meals. So in other words, the human body will eat its own body fat for its next meal when there are no external sources of food coming in. Does that make sense? If you're eating food, then that's where your body gets the energy from. But when you stop eating food, your body gets its energy from your fat. So if you're like 50 pounds overweight, I actually didn't do the math on this. There actually are calculations, you can figure this out, but just off the top of my head, if you're 50 pounds overweight, you actually have something like 200 days of stored meals on your body. I think it was, I'm trying to figure out what it was. It's a half pound of body fat per day. So that would actually be 100 pounds of fat. Yeah, so 100 days. So if you're 50 pounds overweight, you actually have approximately 100 days worth of meals on your body that your body can eat. So the only way to burn off existing fat is to stop eating external sources of food. Now, I'm not talking about calorie restriction. Calorie restriction and counting your calories actually causes weight gain, and it causes a whole bunch of other problems in the human body. So you don't want to restrict your calories. What I'm talking about is fasting, intermittent fasting. And what that means is you simply take a break from eating. Now, there's a lot of people that want you to believe that fasting is dangerous, but that's absolutely not true at all. We would not be here for a species, as a species, if our body was not able to handle fasting and able to handle fasting for a long period of time. The people that want you to be eating all the time are the processed food companies, the pharmaceutical companies, and the sugar companies. And they've told you all sorts of things, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and eat 6 small meals per day to keep your metabolism up, and make sure you make sure you eat first thing when you wake up in the morning, or first thing when you go to, or right before you go to sleep, and snack all day long. These are all myths. These are all myths that keep you fat, sick, and diseased. Fasting not only gives your body a chance to burn off its own body fat because it's eating its own body fat as its next meal, but fasting also lowers insulin levels in your body, and it also lowers inflammation in your body as well. So it stops so many of these other diseases from coming down the line and sickening you and giving you diseases later. Okay, so when you skip a meal, you give your body a chance to start eating some of its own body fat instead. And when you skip an entire day's worth of meals, you'll give your body a chance to actually burn up approximately a half pound of fat. So for each 24-hour period that you fast, you'll actually burn approximately a half pound of fat. Now, you won't be able to do that right away because you probably know this already. You're probably already thinking this in your head. Scott, I tried to once skip a meal. It was on accident. I didn't mean to skip that meal, and my body was shaking. I had low blood sugar. I couldn't operate at all. I felt like I was going to pass out. Well, that's because you're eating a high carb, low fat diet. So if you're eating a high carb, low fat diet, it probably won't be a very pleasant experience for you the first time you try to fast. So, and there's a reason for that, but what I usually try to do is get my clients in my coaching business to just skip breakfast. Just simply skip breakfast and make that your first step. Now, if that's too hard for you, then we backpedal it a little bit more and we say, okay, instead of you eating throughout the day and snacking throughout the day, then let's just make sure you do 3 meals per day, no snacking, and only 3 meals per day. No counting calories. Make sure they're high fat meals, low carb, low sugar, low grain meals. And then we can skip to eating breakfast. And what you'll find is that will be probably enough to get you going with the fasting. Because when you're eating a high carb diet and you try to fast, your body doesn't have the skills yet to understand how to use fat for energy. The reason is because you're giving it carbs and sugar all day long. It doesn't even know how to seek out fat for energy yet. So you have to switch your diet first, which gets your body accustomed to burning fat for energy. And then when you slowly back off from the meals, like you skip breakfast every day, your body's like, oh, I know what it's like to burn fat. I'm just going to seek it out on the body. Then you won't get the shakes anymore. You won't get low blood sugar. You won't get lightheaded. So the solution is to eat a high fat, low carb diet, which trains the body to seek out fat instead of carbs for each meal. Then your body will effortlessly eat your body fat for its next meal while you're fasting. And you won't feel hungry at all while you're fasting. So that's all I have to say on this topic today. I offer all sorts of coaching programs. I offer group coaching programs, private coaching programs. I have a book coming out soon called Butter is a Health Food. If you're watching this years in the future, that book is probably already out. So thanks for watching. Email me your questions and we will get to all of them in all these upcoming videos. All right, take care. Bye-bye.